Okay, so hopefully this will be the short version video. This is a tabletop review on the Power Hunt Wavebox portable 12 volt. This is a 12 volt DC microwave that is not adapted to 12 volt, but it was made as a 12 volt item to begin with. The 12 volt stuff is mainly going to be kind of a RV trucker type use thing. I'm going to be using this as an off-grid type of thing with solar equipment, and I run a lot of batteries on most of my solar arrays, so that's the way this thing's going to go, and that's going to require a little bit of testing. Microwaves in general are kind of high-powered appliances. Here you see this older Amana microwave. At least I think that's what that is. This one's probably a late 70s model. Very high-powered piece of equipment. And normally you don't see a microwave that's going to be a 12 volt DC item. So they're a very limited market type of thing and not easy to find in stores. Most of the time, if you ever do find these, they're going to be from a specialized retailer or a mail order type place. Although nearly all microwaves these days are made in China, this one's no exception. It's made on a special contract for a company in Tualatin, Oregon called Power Hunt. That's not to be confused with the Wavebox brand, basically not even knockoffs. The Wavebox brand microwaves are more of a counterfeit item that resembles this, and it was because Power Hunt didn't copyright or patent the name Wavebox. And apparently somebody at the other company found out that they didn't own a copyright or patent on the name Wavebox. And the other company makes one called Wavebox. It's a 12 volt microwave. They sell for a little over $100. And occasionally what you'll see is some little rip-off shop trying to charge $300 to $500 for one of the non-Power Hunt Wave boxes, or simply mislabeling it with a sticker. So one of the ways you can tell the real thing from a counterfeit is that this is actually kind of embossed, or it's, well, not really embossed, but it's in the front. There's no glass on a microwave because it's a meant to be a portable unit. It's going to come packaged with a little cooler type of thing that has a bunch of your wires and cables. I'm going to go over wires and cables in another video segment. What you'll see here is a little venting type of a thing here. It's a metal interior with kind of a plastic exterior, and I guess because of the way this door was designed, this is where the glass would normally go. Here it's got a metal filler piece. And it's all kind of ruggedized, is I guess the best way to describe this, is that it's a ruggedized item. There's a really basic controls on here, basically for snack stuff, like pizza, coffee, whatever. It's got a handle on the top, and it's difficult for me to say in a video, maybe without fully describing everything. It's just that this is all ruggedized, heavy-duty stuff. The microwave is heavy. Everything about this thing is heavy. It's ruggedized. It's kind of the DeWalt of microwaves. There's nothing light-duty or chintzy on this type of thing. It is a plastic type of housing, but it's plastic over metal. And so that's one of the things to understand. And so it's plastic over metal. Over here we get the little CE tag. And let's see if we can get in focus here. Hopefully the camera goes into focus. And I'm going to show a little more on this later. But basically we've got this little plastic cover thing here. And when we flip it off or slide it over, in one position we use an AC plug with this. In the other position we use a DC plug with this. On the less expensive versions of these microwaves, what I do is I get the DC only. Okay, it's kind of a waste of time to get one of these in an AC version, because you could just get a $99 or $79 microwave, or even a $15 microwave at a thrift store and go ahead and stick a handle on it, right? But what you'll see here is kind of a 12 volt plug arrangement for something that's big and heavy duty, like a winch cable plug. And that's because microwaves are high powered units and they take a lot of electricity. A hell of a lot more electricity than what you're ever going to get through a cigarette lighter plug. And that's why the Power Hunt Wavebox is a real microwave, whereas the one that plugs into a cigarette lighter plug, it's not even for real. Okay, that's just a sucker, infomercial sucker type item. The other thing you'll get on the Power Hunt are like little rubber bumper pads so that this thing can actually travel. Now, for my personal use, what I like to do is not travel with the kitchen. Okay, I like to pre-position a lot of the appliance type stuff in places where I expect to stay if it's an off-grid location. Something like this, as expensive as it is, may travel with me, but then that also means having to permanently install their plug kits at each expected location. More on that later. The other things, of course, we got the really basic controls, and it's not that big of a microwave. You can see the size of my hand compared to this, so you've got to really watch what kind of food containers, what kind of items that you're going to put in this. It's been sized to work with single serve packages of microwave popcorn, but again, you're going to be really limited on the size of what you can microwave in this thing. And what I'm told is it's roughly equal to a 600 watt microwave, which is half the power of the smaller home microwaves. It's just that when compared to the other 12 volt microwaves on the market, those things have so little power, they're barely good for anything. So this is about as good as it gets. In the next segment, we're going to discuss how this would compare to, let's just say, plugging a cheaper microwave into an inverter. Alright, so the familiar battery bank from the off-grid trailer, kind of checking it out after the season. It leaked a little. I got water over here that came from something. I don't know. But anyway, if you've been following my channel a lot, you'll realize I've been phasing out the idea of the trailer being the main bug out or location type thing. So it's I'm phasing into the cabin use type stuff. And in that type of situation, I may or may not use a cord this long. But in vehicle applications, a lot of times you don't have any choice where the battery is. They put it where they put it. When I designed and redesigned this system, I relocated the batteries on this, I think, twice before I decided to go with under the seat type thing, because it was close to where I'm installing the inverter and some other equipment here. As far as the electrical system, this is where it ended up making sense. As far as traveling down the road, I would have, if I were to design one of these trailers on my own, I would put these probably a lot closer to the axle, just to have a better center of gravity. But as far as the cord goes, it comes with a pretty long cord. Optimally, I would want to order the shorter cord, but this is the one that's kind of a default unit, and you actually have to pay separately for this plug, for that end of the plug-in. This end of the plug-in is what you get with a microwave, and this winch type plug is what actually plugs into the back of the microwave itself. All really heavy duty stuff. Obviously here you could tell the plus from the minus, right? It's a big plus and a big minus. So when I put the little seat cover back in place here, I think I didn't bevel both sides when I made that, so I'm going to put this back in and hopefully cord, yeah, we got room for that cord. So again, with all that extra length, I don't think this particular cord set's going to be the one that stays here. I think what I'm eventually going to do is probably put one of the Power Hunt power strips. They make one with 3 plugs. I'll probably install it somewhere up there by the table. The thing is, the way this whole system goes, the cord, even though it's relatively long, I don't think it's going to get me enough length to come up here to the kitchen area on the trailer. Again, it's the way these things go. The other thing I prefer to do is I prefer to keep the high-powered electrical stuff kind of away from propane lines, but that's almost impossible on these types of things, and one of the reasons I will pay the extra money to convert my trailer appliances to electric only whenever possible, because I'll actually physically turn off the propane bottle when it's not in use. And from a safety standpoint, you know, you don't want to put a price tag on your life, but I will spend extra money on the electrical appliances as opposed to using the propane stuff. The other thing, obviously, with the infinitely renewable energy situation on the solar, the electrical would become more cost-effective over time and use than the propane, but the propane's usually pretty darn economical. If the grid's up and you can keep getting propane, propane's definitely very economical for cooking. And so these old RV stove and oven things are still more economical than a $350 12-volt microwave. So next I'll get this thing plugged in, we'll show how it works. Okay, so we see that in there, right? You'll see how long it takes to boil that little plastic cup. Again, we've got a almost $400 solution to the hot water problem. Much less economical than simply having a little propane burner on a stove, but a lot safer and takes advantage of my solar power. The sun's out right now. You can see sun there. So let's see what happens. And it goes. So I hit it on the coffee setting. I know we've got bright light happening. So it says here 2.51 what it's going to take. Now, the other thing I can think of instantly that really might be important to me in a grid down situation, that's assuming my power grid stays up, right, is being able to boil water for drinking or processing, that sort of a thing. Maybe it's just my own personal idea, but I've always had the impression that if you had some food that was like maybe on the edge of going bad in the fridge or something, if you nuke the hell out of it, you're killing all the germs. I don't know if that's true or not, but they say radiation-free food in Europe is, you know, retains its taste and kills the germs without using the chemicals you get with chemical preservatives. And on this, it does give you the option of, you know, do microwave treating your stuff. You know, maybe kill germs with a microwave. And, but obviously, you've got that situation of no metal in the microwave, so you know, metal canteen cups, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be an issue. You could use a plastic canteen in here. It will kind of, sort of, barely fit, but you got to put it in sideways. So I won't make you listen to me for the entire 3 minutes that it says it takes to warm that cup up. So it says end, and it sounds like there's still a fan running. So I don't know if that's going to like radiation my hand when I open this thing up or not. But the 3 minutes is up. So I don't know. Let's see here. I don't like the idea that it sounds like it's still on, really. That's I don't like that. So let's see how warm this water is. It's steaming. It is steaming. Fuck me. Yeah, that's hot water. Alright, so there you go. 3 minutes hot water. Okay. So that means that I can take a lot of my like super storage food and get hot water pretty quickly. Yeah. Now I will say this: a good tea kettle will get you boiling water in about the same time. So the main reason for something like this is to use the off-grid power. The other thing I noticed was my battery system went from about 14 volts to 13 while the microwave was running, and then now it's settled at 13.5. We got 15.7 coming off the panels. They're flat mounted. They're not leaning against the. They're not leaning or not angled directly to the sun. But everything looks like it's working the way it should. The settings I think are realistic on here. And okay, so that goes off. I guess it's just a cooling fan. It goes a little bit longer than the microwave cycles. Again, the coils, everything in here is different from an AC microwave. The other thing you may have remembered from an older video of mine, when I was trying to test this microwave off of an inverter, I just wasn't getting the performance out of it. And the thing is, this Power Hunt unit, being all heavy duty and everything, it's not going to mount up here permanently. So I don't know if I'm going to just leave this here or remove it or what I'm going to do. It is kind of usable off the inverter, it just doesn't give me a lot of power. So I might use it until it burns out or something, and then this one kind of goes with me and would be used in other stuff. I mean, these are so expensive that I think it's kind of a carry it with you piece of equipment. And then what you do is you end up mounting these little plug-ins, which aren't very little. You end up mounting them with your 12-volt power systems, and they're not little and they're not cheap. That one is about $50 just for this end of that plug. So there you have it, the Power Hunt Wavebox microwave, and I'll do another video, try to do a short version.